Oscar Piastri pops until they really needed him to. Shake up at Alpine, and Max takes a 5-place grid penalty that didn't even matter. Obviously, this is Into the Chicane, a Formula One podcast. And as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, as well as Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. This is the post-Belgian Grand Prix edition. I am your host, along with co-host Brandon Wood.
Yo.
Joining us today, the resident Aston Martin fan. What's your back again return guest? What's your name on the fantasy team?
It is
J Money.
J Money.
J Money. Yeah.
J Money in the ITC family or fantasy league. Welcome back.
Yo, how's it going?
Post Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah. Fresh off, we just finished watching a little bit ago.
Yeah. A lot went on in the weekend. Not a whole lot went on in the race.
Pretty much, yeah. It could have been a little bit more dramatic, I think, if the rain actually came in a little bit stronger in the race.
Yeah.
But still enjoyable, I think, overall.
Exciting race.
It was one of those ones that it's becoming the story of the season where it's like, oh man, there's a lot of potential for this good shit, and then it kind of starts out that way. Like we had a good jump right off the line, and then everything happens that you absolutely expect.
Everything kind of settles into its normal.
Yeah, but sprint race weekend. So we had FP1 on Friday, then we had qualifying, and then sprint shootout Saturday morning, sprint race on Saturday as well, and then the race on Sunday. Let's start dropping facts. B, what do you got?
Yeah, so rain really played a factor starting on Friday to the point where, because this was a sprint weekend, they only have the one practice before qualifying session. Mm-hmm. There was 4 or 5 drivers that didn't even go out during the first practice. So wasn't a whole lot of information to be gained for a lot of the teams. So it was kind of a waste of a session. So that means driver like Max and Charles didn't even do any test runs for their setup for qualifying. Max
is at a point where he doesn't even he's so dialed in at Spa, he doesn't need practice. We were talking about it last week. We were talking about the entire time we're watching the race. He finished from P14 last year. Took a giant penalty, probably a whole power unit penalty. Finishes qualifies P14. Ends up in first place in the first 15 laps of the race. It doesn't matter. He's so fucking dialed in. Doesn't matter where Max starts. He's gonna win that race, especially if he's in that car. So,
yeah. So
FP1 is irrelevant to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams have a lot of information from over the years of being there. They can pretty much set it up. But some teams choosing to go a little bit stronger into a wet setup. Teams like McLaren, which worked out for them pretty well for these qualifying sessions.
Yeah, the qualifying it worked out for him good, and then in the sprint it worked out for him pretty well until it didn't rain for outside of 5 minutes in the actual race itself, and bit me in my ass, man.
Yeah, so for both these qualifying sessions, they started out very wet. They delayed both the sessions just to allow for some time for the weather to pass. So as they were starting out, everyone was going on inters, and then over the course of the session, as it's drying out, switching to some slicks, and then you see the times just going down and down and down. So much of qualifying was about getting the right track position and getting in your lap at the right time. So,
yeah.
So we saw some people really able to take advantage of that. The McLarens, like we said, at one point, both Lando and Piastri up there towards the end of the session, having a P1 spot. Max.
That was one of the most exciting qualifying sessions we've seen all year.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, because the lead kept changing a lot. Like I said, with the track drying out, the time's just getting faster and faster. So
that's becoming the new theme, is especially with all these wet races, is that it becomes a one-lap qualifying, and that becomes a shootout in and of itself, outside of the sprint weekend format, just that final lap in every section of qualifying.
Yeah, it all gets down to that last second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes just who's going to make it over the line within time and then just get their last lap. It's who was it? I think Checo went out first again, which I don't know why they keep trying to do that with him. It bit him in his ass.
Because then you don't have as much traffic in front of you. But
then you have
the wetter track.
Yeah, you have a wetter track, and you don't get the track evolution that is really you can have a Haas out qualify you because of track evolution. doesn't matter that you're in a Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
The clearing of the water and getting your tires hot and the track hot is going to be more valuable to you than clean air.
Yeah.
In conditions like that.
Yeah.
And they keep sending Checo out first. And I mean, he made out all right on this one, but
Yeah. Well, like we said, both McLarens looking really fast, but Piastri, definite star,
dude,
through those qualifying sessions, ends up with a P2 for the sprint. He got P5 for the race, but for sprint qualifying, really showing some great speed, gets himself P2, and then which leads us to the actual sprint race.
He started P2 in the sprint, right?
Started P2 in the sprint. So how the sprint started out, had been raining. Everyone started out on the wet tires.
Yeah.
They did, I think it was four laps under a safety car, and then they did a rolling start.
That was just to clear water, basically.
Just to clear water, basically. And then so once they actually went green flag, Max, amongst others, are the first to pit immediately.
No.
Or no, Max
it was
stayed
the
out.
opposite. Max stayed out.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Oscar.
I thought I saw Max go in. And I maybe it was Checo, but I thought I saw Max go in. But he was one of the few ones that actually stayed out, and he did a full lap. But Oscar pitted like literally out of safety car. Max takes off, and everybody goes straight to the pits.
Yeah, so he goes for intermediates, comes out with some pretty good pace.
Mm-hmm.
Max then goes to pit the next lap. So we have Piastri leading.
Yep.
As a rookie.
Yep.
In his first race. This is the first time in 10 years that a rookie has actually led a race.
Yeah, since if I had to make a guess, it's not Lewis, because Lewis would have done it in 2008. A rookie in 10 years? 2013? Fuck. Max?
I think it's Seb.
Seb? No, there's no way.
I think so.
Seb first race for Toro Rosso in... Seb's last championship was 2013. There's no way it was Seb.
Let's solve this right now.
All right. You have anything to say on this, Jonathan?
I didn't watch qualifying or the shootout, so I'm I'm just listening right now. But it sounds pretty badass.
Since Gutierrez.
Esteban Gutierrez.
Wow.
For who? Sauber?
I don't even know.
He raced for Sauber, I think, before he went and became a Mercedes reserve driver.
Huh.
That checks out.
Well, interesting.
All right. Well, little fun fact.
Cool. So
yeah, Piastri, he got done on the fucking first lap, but
yeah. So what? Like we said, big shakeup at the beginning of the race. We also saw Sergio Perez and Hamilton colliding.
Did you think that penalty was deserved, or did you see it as more of a racing incident?
I honestly, at the time, saw it as more of a racing incident. I feel like the penalty is kind of harsh for 5 seconds and the 2 points on Lewis's license. But looking back on it, you can kind of see that Checo didn't have a lot of track space there, and Lewis was kind of hogging the track a little bit. And Checo was ahead, so I can understand why that ruling went that way. But
it put a way bigger hole in his car than I thought it was gonna. What pissed me off was F1 Fixed was immediately trending on Twitter after that.
Because Lewis got the penalty?
Because Lewis gets the penalty up against a Red Bull car.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking annoying and done. Do you follow any of that shit?
Yeah, I see it.
It's all remnants of old 2021 stuff. Any Mercedes or Lewis fan, when it comes to like anything between the two of them and Red Bull, that shit starts trending again, and they bring up Max's championship. Like, dude, fucking let it go. I didn't think it was that serious of a penalty when I first saw it, but if they reviewed it, you say it was deserving of something, then I'm willing to bet it's deserving of something. And 5 seconds is the minimum that they can offer, right? They can do 2 under certain things, but for causing a collision, I think 5 is the lowest that they can go. So it's a 5-second penalty. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's getting really boring. These things end up, helping everyone gets one of these, I think, at some point, right? Like they're being a little bit harsh now about like calling these penalties, but I feel like they've been pretty evenly handed out. I don't feel like it's like Mercedes getting any like extra.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything too egregious this season. It's all been pretty fair.
I mean, there's been a couple like tough ones that we've seen called, but it's not like it's only one team that's getting the
it was like the early on shit, like with the, tires over the line, the pit stop infringements, all that shit.
I kind of like that. It makes it a little bit more hectic during the race. Like, oh shit, this guy's got a penalty. Oh, what is he going to do now? I feel like the past couple races, they've loosened up a little bit, but in the beginning of the season, they were calling everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just to one team, like you're saying. So.
Yeah.
People just want to paint it that way because Red Bull's supposed to be the bad guy on some narratives, but it's fucking old.
Yeah.
Just the Merc fans coming out on Twitter like, what's that?
It's because they're British fans.
Yeah.
It's hardcore Brits who just want to cry.
I love the banter.
So the sprint only 11 laps, but the pit stop timing ended up actually becoming a big factor. Gasly actually took big advantage of this and ends up moving himself up to a third finish in the sprint, which is, I think, the best finish for him in quite a while.
Yeah.
Obviously, best finish this year for Alpine in any...
No, Ocon got a third.
Oh, he did? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So, on par. Let's go. Pretty
but
good
the best
him.
finish for Gasly since he's joined the team.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So
he had a good race too today.
Yeah, he did
in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, good charge from him, especially with all like the drama going on this weekend. We could probably get into it more later. But, but a lot of changes happening at Alpine right now. So I guess onto the race now.
Go for it.
First lap, Piastri. Starting from fifth, we saw him and Carlos touch each other and going into turn one. I think it's more Carlos turning in on him and Piastri getting pinned into the inside wall. Although Carlos didn't necessarily see it that way. On Twitter, he tweeted, "Not what we wanted today. Racing incident, but Oscar was too optimistic. He was never side by side, and that move has never really worked in Spa. Congrats to the team and Charles on an encouraging result. We'll keep pushing after the break."
Look at the picture that he chose to post with that. It's got Oscar like
behind him,
like 50 feet behind him.
This is from the practice session.
Yeah. I wouldn't even, you can't really tell from that, but I wouldn't doubt if that's not even at Spa.
Yeah.
This one, that's
a sarcastic tweet.
You think so?
I think so.
Maybe. Here's the thing, so that ended up ultimately ending his race, right? I'm guessing that the damage from that.
He kind of tumbled back. I think he maybe stayed out over 10 laps.
He was out there for a while. He ended up DNFing, I'd say maybe halfway through the race, just kind of out of nowhere. Maybe the damage that he sustained got worse over time.
Yeah.
He Oscar dropped pretty fast.
Yeah, he was way at the back of the pack, and they probably just decided to pack it in. So Carlos locks up, and it ends up, it causes his car to kind of skid, and his nose turns into Oscar. Right. And Oscar doesn't have half a car length, that you're supposed to have in order to have the actual racing line legally. But he also has nowhere else to go. He's up against the wall with pace going into a turn.
Taking the inside.
He's already got the inside line, and now all of a sudden Carlos's nose is pointed right at him. Oscar's got no other choice but to attempt it. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Carlos locked up because he was about to hit Hamilton.
He was about to hit Hamilton or Perez or both.
I'm pretty sure it was the Mercedes, but he locked up.
Yeah.
He turned. Piastri's already on the inside line. It's like
Oscar did. I mean, he took the corner a little too tight. Optimistic, sure, but you can't fault him for taking an optimistic, hard turn that he could have clearly taken had you not turned in on him.
How Carlos is complaining about that, it's his fault, I think.
I think it's Carlos's fault. Maybe, Oscar it was a bold move for Oscar to be there.
He could have slowed down, I guess, a little bit, but then you're not being aggressive. You're giving up a track position.
Yeah, but if he slows down, then he's slowing himself down as a result of Carlos's own mistake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why this just gets chalked up to a racing.
It's a racing incident,
right? Because it's not. There's no clear cut.
There's
like,
two-
who is in the wrong.
More than one thing happening at
Yeah.
once that leads to another. But
Yeah.
for Carlos to say that, that's just him placing blame where it doesn't need to go.
Yeah, he's just frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a pretty good setup for this weekend, and it's a shame that he didn't
Yeah, what, he was
last too
fourth
long.
or something and at the start?
Started fourth, yeah. So, but his teammate Charles, who put in amazing performance in qualifying, started the race
On pole.
on pole position, which is one of the few times Max has been out.
Due to penalty.
Well, yeah,
He wasn't out qualified. It was just
yeah,
by penalty, but it's one of the few that Max hasn't started on pole.
yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, Sergio Perez, who starts off in second, is able to take the lead lap one. Max, who, like we said, started in sixth, charges up not as fast as you, Channing, thought.
I
We
thought
talked about
3 to
this.
5 laps and then recanted and said within 10. I think it did happen within 10, did it
was
not?
lap 17
Okay,
when he,
well,
when he overtook
In the
Checo.
10s,
There was a safety car in
The
there,
teams,
so
you mean.
so yeah. So we saw Alex Albon early on in the race had an excellent charge. Where did he start from? Let's see. Starting grid, Alex was 15th. So early on in the race, charges himself up into 9th. So
6 spots.
Even later on than that, maybe at one point he had been like in 7th or something, right? Like he got as high.
he might have been up like the 6 and 7. He was definitely in the points.
Yeah, early pit stops.
He was on a tear. I think had he not had that exact tire strategy and done something just maybe like the opposite of what they had, gone long on one stint and short on another, short on one, long on another, I think he could have had a better result and just been in a better position overall.
Yeah. But early on, he had a pretty good charge, had himself in a good position. Around maybe lap 20 or so, we saw a little bit of rain start to come on the track, and it didn't seem like it was.
It didn't affect the race
Well,
whatsoever, I don't think.
Yeah, obviously, it just seemed to like it was just really in a couple different sections of the track. There was some light sprinkling, but a lot of teams were like questioning whether or not.
Yeah,
they
there's a
should
little bit
wait.
of flinching going on too.
Yeah, like around the time that Max and Checo pitted, they were asking Max if he wanted to wait a little bit to see what happens with the rain, and he just wasn't going for it. He said, "You guys are the ones looking at the radars, but
I don't see the radar on him, mate."
Yeah.
yeah."
Max was. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Max was jawing back and forth with his engineer all weekend. Were you able to find that video?
Oh yeah. So this is after the second qualifying. So
conversations going on between engineer and driver.
I should have just pushed 2 laps in a row, like I said.
But you are through, Max.
Yeah, I don't give a if I'm V10. Excuse him.
Okay, and then when the track was 2 seconds quicker for your final lap and you didn't have any energy left, how would that have gone down? But you tell me what you want to do in Q3 and we'll do it. Let me know.
Damn.
Front plan.
Radio silence from
Yeah,
Perez
yeah.
after that.
It's kind of funny hearing Max get put in his place a little bit.
yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that a lot, but it was because at that point he barely got there. I think he was like P10 or something like that going into Q3. So
Yeah.
he was right on the
Was he?
threshold there. Yeah.
Damn.
So
He almost didn't make it into Q3.
yeah.
Oh,
He-
shit.
Which it's funny to hear him bitching about that.
Yeah.
Because like he's just so used to being at the top of every single session of
Yeah.
qualifying that for him to finish P10 is like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
And he has to bitch. And then you still make it through though. Like he's fine. You get another shot to be at the top, which he ends up being anyways. But the way that his engineer puts him into place, it's like when a little kid tells you that they can do something and then you're like, all right, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And then they have to come back and be like, but I can't.
Right. Yeah. No, I like Max's bitchiness a little bit when he. it's
funny.
refreshing to see. Yeah, the driver, because the engineers, they get paid to do all this stuff, and they're like always the smartest guy in the room supposedly, and then the driver's like, no, I'm actually in the car. Like you you're not a race car driver, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's tough when there's like the engineers are looking at the data, right?
Right.
They're making
They're just
decisions
looking at
based off the
numbers and
data,
shit.
but the drivers are making decisions based off of the feel, right? And what
Yeah.
actually is happening with the car. And that's not always like, those things don't always correlate.
So
Yeah.
what was that all about? His tires or something, or
No, it was more his battery power, I think. So they were, because Max wanted to just
They
do
ran
2 in
out
a
of
row.
power. Oh,
Yeah.
He wanted 2 hot laps.
Because like with this generation of tires, they're not as easy to get up to temp. So you kind of have to do like a push lap to get them up and then do your flying lap. But Max, they were having him do like a push lap and then take a break and then do it. You know what I mean? Just to kind of save,
cooling off,
so that he's
yeah.
doing his real push later when the track's a little bit drier, and then
Right.
you know.
So he wanted the tires up in temp, and they're telling him to cool them off a little bit and go back up. And he's like,
Yeah, more
No,
just
he
timing.
wanted
Yeah.
2 fast laps, and they were trying to get him to do 1 fast lap and get them up to temps on the previous one.
Well, yeah,
right?
and then just spacing them out basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
And he just wanted to go back to back, and they were saying that you don't have the battery reserve for it.
oh, okay.
yeah. So,
But it's funny because he kind of ends up being right in the end, in a way. Max does.
I mean, at the end of qualifying, when he actually ended up on pole, he was like, "Sorry for being such a snob earlier," or something
Yeah.
like that. But
They kind of went at it again too a little bit in the race
Yeah,
today.
during the race was pretty funny too.
it was
I don't know if
weird
you
that
have
like
that clip,
like
but-
you could tell there was a lot of background noise going on. Like although team radios were a lot worse in the race, like sounded a lot more difficult for.
Did you
people to
hear
I think.
Max and Charles and Checo talking in the cool down room?
What were they
They
saying?
were saying it was really windy.
That's
So
probably
it
that
was
makes
probably
sense.
wind
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
microphone, yeah. And Lando was talking. There was a moment where Lando was like, his engineer was yelling at him. He goes, "I can't understand anything you're saying."
Yeah, so I can't understand any of that, mate.
I thought it was funny when Carlos's team is talking to him. He's in 19th, by the way.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, it's going to rain in like 10 minutes. And then the other team comes on. It's like, yeah, rain in 4 minutes or whatever. It's like, what is Ferrari up to, man?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you said something about that. You said
I think when they said 10 minutes, they were referring to how long it would rain.
how long it was going to last. Yeah.
how
Because I
long it
thought
would
that
last.
was funny too. Because Ferrari I heard McLaren or Red Bull go rain in 4 minutes, and then Ferrari comes on, and it sounded like they said rain in 10 minutes. It was like, how bad can Ferrari really constantly be off in every way?
I'm like, why are you worried about the rain? You're in 19th right now.
Yeah. So the rain never really materialized.
How are you going to worry about rain when your guys' pit stops are 4.5 seconds long?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what
matter,
tires you're putting on. It's
Yeah.
2 seconds longer than everybody
Knowing
else's.
damn well they're going to retire the car in a couple laps.
Why even bother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So rain never really materialized, but did play a little tricky for some of the drivers. Max had a moment going up Radion.
That was
Yeah,
scary.
dude. As much of a Max fan as I've been for the past few years, like I'm at this point hoping for something to go wrong with him just to shake this shit up. Like I saw that and I was like, ooh, like my tail started wagging a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But he saved it. It was wet. The curbs were soaking wet. You could see the glare coming off of him. And he goes up Radion and loses it, overcorrects, and then just has like a little chuckle.
You got a little loose
Yeah.
going up there.
Yeah.
And teams like McLaren went with a more of a wet setup. They had a different wing that made a little more downforce, a little more draggy car. Because the rain never really materialized, they ended up being super slow on the straights. Really tough go for Lando. He really struggled through the middle of the race, but he ended up pitting early.
Dude, they fixed it, whatever issue it was.
Well, he ended up going for early stops, and then I think kind of just lucked out that there weren't any other like safety cars or anything. But he ended up maintaining. He started in 7th, ends up finishing in 7th. I think
You got to chalk that up to a win, but dude, McLaren.
They were both McLarens were bottom. Like Piastri had already was out of the race.
Yeah, he
but
was out.
Lando was 19th, and he was looking like, this ain't your race, bro. But
Well-
then he pitted a couple times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He pitted early, and that's why he was
Yeah.
way back
Yeah.
there. But he
They
ended
put
up
him on
making up that
hards
time.
after his first pit, and then he went on softs sometime after that. But
Whatever they did, he got back
Dude,
in the race.
I love McLaren. I love Lando. I think McLaren is like the team that I've been pulling for lately, and I'm starting to feel. There goes my fucking mic. I'm starting to understand how Ferrari fans feel. Like, just when you think that shit can get good and that things might be going good, they somehow find a way to fuck it up. Like, that's the story of Ferrari, right? They're like the fucking Yankees or some shit. Like, everything looks good. You got all the money in the world, but you guys can't put together a good package. Or the Dodgers, even, outside of the COVID season. But
look, I'm a Spurs fan. All the English fans watching will know.
The English fan?
The English fan? No, that's how our team is. It's like...
But they're starting to look like that. Like, they got this new upgrade package. It looks like they can start flying out of the gate. And then they fuck up the setup of the car. I mean, every other team didn't have the heavy rain setup. The Williams was flying.
Some did, but I think McLaren just leaned a little too heavy into it.
Yeah.
You know, they were gambling a little bit too hard.
Lando also took damage in
the sprint.
In the sprint or in the shootout?
It always rains at this race.
Yeah,
though,
it was
so
like
past 3 years.
Probably going
He
off
kinda-
history like, all right, it's going to rain, so let's try to get a little bit of a head start on these fools, but no.
Yeah, so
stop trying to outsmart people.
Yeah,
though.
McLaren been looking good. They were able to jump to basically where Aston Martin was earlier on the season.
Yeah.
Aston Martin's been struggling the past few races.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they remind me of is Aston Martin at the beginning.
Fernando Alonso through Friday and Saturday was actually his birthday, his 42nd birthday. Friday, Saturday.
Happy birthday.
He's very visibly frustrated.
He's very visibly 42.
Very visibly 42.
Nando's frustrated?
After this sprint shootout, he was interviewed, obviously very frustrated, was just kind of just expressing that they're just kind of in a tough spot right now. And then the interview asked him if there's anything to look forward to in the sprint, and he just very shortly just said no.
Oh,
and
shit.
that was the end of the interview.
No way.
Yeah, he just said no.
This was after the shootout, or
I think it was after the shootout, or maybe it was just the qualifying. But
oh damn!
Well, a couple races back. Okay, so they were, he was podium. He was on the podium for a little bit during the first part of the season, and then he
was on every single podium to start the race until
Right.
Canada, and then from Canada. Canada?
After
Canada,
the Aston Martin's not really set up for this track, and blah blah blah. They start making excuses.
After Canada, Fernando Alonso goes, it's going to be podiums from here on out, and they haven't been on since.
Yeah.
No help from your fucking boy was it in the shootout or was it in the sprint where they put him on softs early? He was the first one to go back on the
might have been in the
softs
sprint shootout because they were just gambling at that point.
Yeah, they were just gambling, trying to get him in, and they put him on softs, and he looked good, and then he hit one patch of wets, and he literally didn't even get to turn the wheel. He went straight into the wall, the whole front nose. And it was funny because they're following along. They're like, Lance Stroll looks like he might have made the right decision, and then off he goes.
Yeah. I mean, even in the sprint race, Alonso had a uncharacteristic
he spun it.
Yeah, and went off and DNF'd the second lap of the sprint. So
put it into the gravel
wasn't
trap.
looking too good going into the race. They only qualified 9th, so not the best starting position, but he charged through.
5th place.
Drove a quiet race, finished in 5th. I think
I'm happy with that.
That's good. It's a good spot. I mean, he's right up in there behind Hamilton.
Lance in the points as well.
Yeah, Lance up in there. Good finish for both the boys.
1 point ahead of Mercedes now.
Back, not necessarily exactly where they want to be, I think, but a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think they can be happy. So, like we said, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari golden child, started off on pole, finishes the race in 3rd. I think this is a good finish for him, a good stepping stone for Ferrari to, even though Carlos had a rough go, I think they can be happy that they didn't totally let this one hit the fan.
Yeah, I think they should just be happy that they beat Mercedes. Honestly,
True,
they beat both Mercedes with one car, and the Aston Martins and the McLarens. Even though McLaren kind of shot themselves in the foot, Ferrari just needs to take this and go, hey, cool. See you guys in Zandvoort. You know?
Take the points while they can.
Yeah, Chuck was even talking about it with Checo in the cool down room. He was asking Checo, he was like, "Were you pushing on the last lap?" And Checo goes, "No, I was just kind of managing. I was just kind of coasting along." And Checo goes, "Were you pushing?" And he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's
like
getting about all I could.
I couldn't catch you, but I was pushing, but I didn't have fuel and all that. But yeah, just bring it home.
Yeah,
They got to realize that they're out. Their second place is fucking, dude. That's thumbs up for them.
Yeah, good finish for them.
Third place would be like holding on tight because McLaren is going to be on their asses, and then Aston Martin and Ferrari is battling for that shit. So
yeah. So overall, I was getting a little frustrated by this towards the end of the race. I mean, like we said, Alex Albon earlier in the race was charging, kind of looked like he could get up into the points, but later on in the race, like they kept showing Alex, who's making kind of a late charge up through the pack, and so they kept showing like these battles for 15th, 16th. Meanwhile, there's racing going on between Esteban and Stroll,
Lance Stroll,
and it's like these actual points finishing places. I was
dude, they were giving Alex all sorts of airtime.
Yeah, I mean,
He's an industry plant, I think.
I don't know. I mean,
It's a
I'm not gonna go that
psyop.
far.
It's a Thai government psyop.
It's a psyop.
I mean, he was making a great charge. He could have finished for points. It would have been a great story, especially. Let's see, where did
you
they?
guys are
start?
Alex fans, though, right?
I am. I like to see him.
I
do
am.
good.
I think what they were doing was just because Alex was so up and down in the lineup that it was like just follow him. Meanwhile, you had Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll who were kind of like pat in the 8, 9, 10 spots, but still battling for it. But they had the eye on Alex because that Williams was kind of like the story of the race a little bit because it had so much straight line speed, but it was moving up and down. Terrible pit
He
strategies.
made a sick-ass pass late in the race where he went. So there was a left-hand turn and then I think a right-hand turn. He went outside on the left hand, and then he put himself right on the inside on the right-hand turn.
There was a couple really good passes on the outside.
Yeah,
Like I think most passes happened on the outside today.
yeah, and then that's some great driving. Like that's awesome. Like I love to
He's
see
definitely
that.
talented.
But-
Pierre had a sick one.
But in the grand scheme of things, like they're battling for like 16th place.
Right, nothing on
That's
the line.
not really
Yeah.
as interesting to me as like watching Esteban right on Stroll's tail. And
Well, he
like
passed him fairly easily. Lance was dropping throughout the race, I feel like. I mean, he pitted. He went all the way down to like 15th or 16th, came back, went up to like 7th, dropped back down to 9th. It was just a weird race for him.
It kind of seems like the camera crews are going to follow, like not necessarily follow the action, but like follow who the media is following. And because Williams has been kind of on the rise, Alpine is a boring team. Nobody really cares about Alpine too much. Lance Stroll, nobody cares
I don't know
too
why
much
there's
about
so much
outsiders.
drama. There's so much drama that happened leading into this weekend. I don't
And
understand why.
it was one single tweet. Nobody, I'm telling you, there's not a single fan of Alpine. Nobody is a fan of Alpine. They fired. Could you imagine if Christian Horner got fired mid-season? Or Toto Wolff, anybody
yeah, and
outside of Alpine, dude. Franz Tost. Who's the? I don't even remember who. Is it Mike Crack
Yeah, he's the
at Aston Martin?
Yep.
And who's over at Williams right now?
James Vols.
James Vols, the former Mercedes dude. Anybody except for Otmar Snafauer, and it's a big deal. And Otmar Snafauer is like a big face in F1.
I like
but
him.
as soon as he goes to Alpine, who gives a shit? Oh, Alpine fired somebody? Who fucking cares?
Yeah, they're kind of like a
For whatever
forgotten
reason,
team.
dude, they're so beige. Nobody cares.
Is it because they're French?
I think so.
Yeah, they're like they remind. I mean, I don't know if they are Renault, right?
Yeah.
They're technically Renault, yeah.
Yeah, so it's same vibes.
I think they were bigger when it was Renault. It was bigger when
I liked Renault better than Alpine.
when Cyril Abiteboul
Yeah.
quit.
That was like the
And that was
end of
off
the-
season.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That was during the offseason. They
Cyril was
just
a
fired.
G.
I don't know if they fired Otmar or if he just chose to leave, how the planning of it went. But mid-season, just before a race, and it's one single tweet. And I don't remember
Before
hearing
Spa.
about it. I don't remember hearing about it at all during the race. There was a little bit in the pre-show,
No,
but that's
yeah, in
right
the
when I
pre-show.
turned it off.
But
They
I
didn't
mean,
mention
or
it
sorry,
one
in the
time during
post-show.
race.
In the post-show, I heard about it.
It
I didn't
was-
watch the pre, but
on Friday, Will Buxton was talking about it before practice start, and he was just like really talking about how poor of a call it was for like basically just like talking all kinds of shit on Alpine, like
Yeah.
how it was just like they're just looking like
What was the
fools.
reasoning behind it? Because it's not like they're
because
doing,
they're in shambles.
well,
because the CEO
maybe
doesn't really know
behind
what
the
he's
scenes,
doing.
but I feel like
What's
on
that
the
dude's name?
racetrack, they're
I can't remember.
You had a
racetrack. They're all right.
yeah. You sent me a really funny GIF, I guess a meme.
I'll pull it up on this.
Yeah, of like a dude with the dominoes knocking over a bunch of dominoes, and it all starts with Oscar Piastri's one tweet from leaving the Alpine Academy to the absolute downfall. And dude, if I hadn't really put that together, but that really is kind of
I like
the
that. Yeah, how are they gonna
downfall.
let one of their young superstars go like that?
they didn't let him go. They fought. They tried to take him to court to say that he has to drive for them, and he ended up winning.
There you go.
But dude, it really does make sense. That's when the team really fell apart. He was kind of their blue chip, and
Yeah, watching the Netflix show, that episode of Alpine you were just like, damn,
yeah,
they do not.
they don't have anybody else in their lineup. Who's in F2 that's coming up?
I don't know. I mean, Oscar was their guy. He was their
He was
ticket.
he was their blue
Future,
chip,
yeah.
and it looked really bad for him, like the first half of this season. And now you're like, dude, Oscar, he must have had inside information on what their upgrade package was going to be. You have to imagine that they give the same thing with Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin. When he moved over, everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? They have to present some
Yeah.
sort of thing to these guys to go, look, it's going to be bad for this long. And then next thing you know, Oscar, you're P2 and you're fighting Max.
I think from a racing standpoint, you can easily see, and Oscar's an Aussie, right?
Yeah.
Oscar.
So as an Aussie, you want to be on an English team. Like, you're speaking with English people and all that stuff. Like, you don't want to be with all these French fucking...
Yeah, I'm sure that had something to do with it. I'm sure that was
that
everything.
was his main decision.
Yeah. It was the language barrier. He was worried
Probably,
about that.
bro. Like, yeah. But McLaren is like, bro, they're a big
I think-
name.
Second most
Well,
historic team in F1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he just looked at Oscar's probably got a great agent that helped with this, but he's looking at
Long-term projection.
Long-term projections. McLaren obviously really good at raising money and have been putting a lot of money into their program, building a new facility, all of this.
honestly, the past
promising
couple of
thing-
years, I'm surprised there's so many McLaren fans, but it's great marketing by them. They got Lando, and now they got an Aussie. Like, I think
Traded one Aussie for another.
Yeah, dude, I think that these past 2 weeks, this weekend specifically, with Oscar doing so good in the sprint, in the shootout, and qualies, showing, outside of DNFing, but like he was up there. He showed that he's got that dog in him in trying to take that corner. I think they've found their guy. He's outraced Lando, and
He
Lando's my fucking dude. Everybody knows that. Oscar has kind of secured his spot as being McLaren's guy.
he looks pretty freaking good.
I think
Yeah, he's killing it.
I think McLaren has made Lando Norris expendable, and I think that's great for Lando because he needs a fresh start.
And your prediction is Red Bull?
I've been saying Red Bull.
It's working in your
I'd-
favor, I think.
That would be pretty dope.
Could you imagine? All the stars line up. Max wants to leave in the next few years.
So you
He'll
think he's gonna
reassess
take
once he-
Max's spot, not Checo's?
Checo's spot's gone by next year or 2026. He's
And who's going in there?
the number 2 spot. I think Lando slots in the number 2 behind Max for a
That's-
year or two, and
I think
then
that'd be
and then once Max decides to leave, Lando's number 1, and then Liam Lawson, Ayumi Iwasa, one of those guys, one of these F2 guys, and that's
I think Liam's the
and then everything turns into Formula E around then. I think.
Liam's the favorite right now because the word is he'll go to AlphaTauri next year, and then
What about the guy that they keep interviewing after every single race, the Haas backup driver?
Pietro Fittipaldi.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
He's the next Alex Albon industry plant.
I don't know. I mean, his whole family is very.
No, him and Felipe
Yeah.
Drugovich are going to start a podcast soon.
Yeah.
Dude, I should offer them some low rates here in the studio.
What could it, yeah.
That'd be dope.
The Almost an F1
We should
podcast.
see if
Yeah.
there's any old F1 drivers in North Hollywood.
There might be one around somewhere.
Or
There's
at least
gotta
a
be.
former pro go-kart driver.
Alex Albon has driven RK1 track before.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. Dude, they're opening at Spurs Stadium an F1 experience like go-kart track
Really?
at the stadium.
That's sick.
I need to go, but it's in London, but I'm down.
Next time we go to Coda, we have to do the karting track.
Yeah. No,
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I've been dying to go to K1.
So speaking of Checo, he started off P2, finishes P2, behind Max, his teammate, who started from 6th. Max
22 seconds
finishes
behind.
22 seconds up. Is this a good weekend for Checo? Does he?
It's kind of just becoming the story of like Checo's career at Red Bull. It's a fine weekend.
It's good.
Job done.
Did what he needed to do. Checked all the boxes. He got.
I thought Checo was going to have more dog in him to
Yeah.
hold off that spot, but once he got in the DRS, he just got blown away.
Yeah, it wasn't really anything he could do.
He did last a few laps, and it looked like he had the pace to maybe hold it off. But it's like once Max decides to push past what what other drivers would go as like, all right, this is good pace. Once Max decides, no, like I'm pushing hard, I'm draining my battery, I'm taking corners harder, I'm wearing my tires out. That's done, dude.
Dude, he
Close
looked
to
like
half a second a lap up on everybody.
when he was behind him for a little bit, you could see like when you're driving, you're like, oh, I can pass this easily.
Yeah.
And you're on a corner and you're like kind of like weaving a little bit, and you're like, all right, this guy's slower than me. That's what it looked like, and I'm like,
Yeah, Max's ability to carry speed into a corner,
Yeah.
like through a chicane, with the way he lets off and then gets back on, I don't think everybody else does. I think most drivers seem to brake so much more through like slower sectors where
Right.
Max goes hard and then he lets off a little. His shifting is a little bit better, and so he'll coast, and it lets his car. He gets that torque easier instead of coming out of a brake. He just
Yeah.
carries speed, and that's where he starts to burn people. Like he was Checo was
Definitely carries
braking
speed a
like
lot better.
like right at the start finish line where the grid lines up was when he caught up with Checo, and Checo was braking and gassing, and Max was coasting through there and just carrying speed, and that's where he burned him. And then shortly thereafter, he caught him in DRS and done.
yeah, like it's like his car has another gear compared to everyone else, and Checo's in basically the same car. Maybe they tune it down a little bit.
No, I mean, Max just puts himself in the position where he can
F1
make
fixed.
Where he can take
Hashtag.
advantage of that. Their car has amazing DRS, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really efficient.
Right.
They got really strong electrical systems. So like all he has to do is just put himself in the position to have that advantage over Checo, and then he can blow right by him.
Yeah,
So-
I really wanted Checo to put up more of a fight, but
Those days are done. That was like the beginning of the season. That was like, all right, we might actually have a fight on our hands.
No, it's not happening anymore.
I don't see. It just ain't fucking happening. Even like I had high hopes from the McLarens, which we'll fucking get into when we do these bold predictions, but there's nothing stopping Max outside of a shunt, outside of him putting it out.
Yeah. I didn't quite write down your first bold prediction.
You didn't quite, or you didn't?
I didn't.
Okay.
But I got the
What
other
the fuck
two.
does that mean?
I started to, and then it didn't happen.
he typed one letter.
What do you have?
So right now, I have for you for our bold predictions for this weekend. Logan's first points did not happen.
Never gonna happen.
You had Red Bull does not win, which didn't happen. What was the third one? Do you want to make up something real quick so you can point? Or
Oh, fuck. I'm pretty sure I didn't get any. You know what? I can look it up right now. I have my notebook.
you have your notebook? Okay. So I
I
had
see Albon top 7.
I had that Ferrari would screw up a pit stop, and they did screw up one for Carlos in the sprint. I don't know if that counts. If we're just only counting the race.
Hold on. Let me. I
That counts.
have to check my books real quick.
This is chicken scratch.
Yeah, who wrote that? Your son?
I don't even know what any of this shit says.
Those are all jokes.
You want to just make up
For
something
sure.
really quick that's to get you a point?
Yeah, my bold prediction was Max wins by 20 seconds.
That.
Well, he won by 22, so you're still wrong.
Yep.
No, I got it right here.
Otmar out.
Omar gets fired.
Otmar. Does that say Otmar Snaffauer walks? I had 3-team podium.
Nah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had crossed the fuck out of it, so I couldn't read it. Let's go with Otmar Snaffauer gets fired mid-season, though.
Okay. So I had a Ferrari screwing up a pit stop. I know, and then we
No.
there was one with for Carlos in the sprint. So I don't know.
They
if,
screwed up the race.
No, the
That
sprint
should be-
counts. Sprint counts.
Okay, so then
How long was it? What did we do?
it was over 4 seconds.
We designated it as 3.5 or something, right?
It was like 4 seconds, and it was over 4.
Okay.
Who had a horrible pit stop? I think it was Aston Martin. It was like 4.5 seconds.
No, that
You guys
was
remember
that was a
Or no?
Ferrari. Was that Carlos? No. It was Lance.
I think it
or,
was
or
Lance.
Fernando. Because you were asking whether or not he was in second gear.
Yeah, so that was a weird situation too, because someone was revving their engine as
It was El Gasly, yeah.
Was it Pierre?
Yeah. So my second prediction, Yuki beats Daniel Ricciardo. Guess what?
Come on.
That's not a bold prediction.
that bold?
No.
Dude.
I mean,
Come on.
he didn't beat him last week, so I mean, Yuki got the point this weekend, so hell yeah, Yuki.
That would have
let's
been
go.
a bolder prediction.
Okay, can I change
He's
it? then?
solid 10.
Can I change it?
Yeah, can I change mine to Otmar Snaffauer?
Sure, yeah.
Otmar Snaffauer now works at Costco.
I'm giving you the point here. Giving
No.
myself the point.
No, I don't need a loser point. You can take
He'll
it.
be back in the sport, though, don't you think?
Aston back in top 5.
This will be his.
That was one of your predictions?
was my third one. Guess what? Fernando.
Let's go.
I got
Let's go.
Hey, take that loser
I
point
like
away
that
from
one.
me. I don't want that.
So I got 3.
You haven't been very good at this, have you? I see
No. I mean,
zero, zero,
I do bolder predictions. One of my
Brandon's
predictions.
Aston in top 5 is not a bold prediction.
I mean, I'm welcome to all pushback.
You should have heard
Anytime
when the first episode of the show, we're going into preseason testing. I go, Brandon, what do you expect to see at preseason testing? He goes, I probably see some green paint on some of the cars. Drivers testing out aerodynamic.
That was a joke.
My bold prediction
When I
is
said
they're
that,
going to
I was-
make 2 pit stops today.
My bold prediction is that this season we'll have 10 teams with 2 drivers each.
You act like you've never heard sarcasm before.
Spell that.
Yeah, Brandon, he does.
SC,
He does.
SC.
I'm just kidding. So, how do you feel like this race?
This guy.
How do you feel like
How
this
do you?
guy?
Hey, let me
these
ask you a question real quick. Hey. How do you
How do you feel about this guy?
How do you feel about this fucking guy? How do you feel about
Fucking
this
guy.
guy's bold predictions?
Yeah, they were pretty weak. I would step out a little bit further.
We didn't even really read off my bold predictions.
Logan, first points. Red
That's-
Bull does not win.
That's very
That's a
bold.
bold
That's
prediction.
very bold.
My second bold prediction, this was actually my last.
Red Bull doesn't win.
Well, my first one was 3-team podium. My last one was that this would be the first race of the season that Red Bull doesn't win. That's a bold prediction.
Yeah,
And you know what Brandon's response was? Okay, right on. I had prepared this whole speech for Brandon on why Red Bull wasn't going to win. I practiced it in my car.
I could have.
And he goes, cool, right on.
It was good. It was good. Right on.
No, I would have guessed that because they just broke the record for most team wins and all that stuff, or whatever, in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe the drop off will happen, but no, domination.
Utter.
So, where do you guys feel like this racks up amongst the rest of the races of the year so far?
I do. This one's got a little bit of an advantage because it's a sprint weekend.
So there's a lot more action that happened.
There was like a lot of fun shit that happened with Oscar and all that, but ultimately, wherever you guys want to slot it in the middle is cool with me.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost after. It's either before or after Canada.
I was literally
Right.
looking the exact same thing.
Right,
Was it more exciting than Hungary last week?
I thought that race was boring, but
I'd put it 7.
Okay. I don't know. Hungary was maybe better.
The race itself,
Yeah.
there was a little bit more excitement, like the Guan Yu Zhou start.
Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah,
I feel
let's
like
go
that's
after
the only thing
Hungary.
that happened.
So it's
It
gonna
was,
be-
but what happened today?
Oscar first lap. No, I don't know. I feel like this track is better than Hungary, but
Spa is a better track.
it's like
but
funner to watch because you have all the hills and shit. But I mean, it wasn't a bad race last weekend. I was entertained, but still nothing really happened.
you know what this season is? It's like this season has been a terrible introduction for new F1 fans. Like if you were to try and get somebody to start watching F1 this year, they'd be like, I don't get what you guys are seeing. 2021, that's like the year where you can fucking
Right.
oh man, these guys are battling back and forth every week.
Yeah.
New winner every other race, and 3 winners ultimately. Like you had Chuck winning races, Max and Lewis taking most of them, but like anything could happen. There was an actual battle. If you were to try and introduce somebody to this shit this season,
the best season was Lewis and
Lewis
Max
versus
season.
Max.
Yeah.
21.
Down to the last race.
They end up in Abu Dhabi, and it was just projections of them, like billboards of just those two, as if it might as well have been just 2 drivers on the grid. You know, like the whole race was set up for that.
Yeah.
There was a story. Ain't nothing going on.
I don't know. I mean,
No, there is. That's me being facetious, but
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like everyone's nature is to want to just pay attention to who's winning and the battle for first place. And
Yeah.
that's about it. Anywhere else, they feel like it's not important. But I don't know. I think you can still.
there's a lot of cool
find
shit
something
going
to
on.
enjoy.
If I was finishing P3 as a driver, P3, P4, P5, anywhere top 10 as a driver, that's great. Anywhere top 5 or 6 as a constructor, you're talking about millions of dollars.
I mean,
So,
but here's the thing too. It's like
Still.
if Max goes on to, win a few more championships and or is like completely just dominating the season, like we'll think back like, oh wow, like that was actually cool getting to see him dominate.
yeah, we're watching Jordan right now.
Sort of, and that's like another thing, like in motocross, right? Like this season, like Jet Lawrence is literally on the brink of a perfect season, and it's like there's people on both sides of the fence. They're like, this is boring to just see this kid win every weekend, but at the same time, it's like you're also seeing
You're watching greatness.
We're watching
Exactly.
Ricky Carmichael reincarnated.
yeah. So there's 2 sides to it, but
Rick and Carmen.
I think there's enough.
No,
happening.
but if you're more of like, if
You have to
get
be
deeper
invested
into
already, though.
Right.
Yeah,
If you're
true.
deeper into the sport, then you care about a 9-10 battle, P9, P10.
Yeah.
And like from a consumer perspective, it's easier to watch like the big 4 sports. Like it would be easier to watch like a Dan Marino near perfect season, a Michael Jordan near perfect season, Wayne Gretzky, like to see these guys dominate than it is to watch motorsport. You know what I mean? So like the Max Verstappens and Jet Lawrences of the world are going to lose out on that sort of stardom because nobody outside of the sport who can't really focus on what's actually great about what you're seeing can go, okay, yeah, this guy's he's off and never looks back.
Yeah.
But like us, we can go, like, fuck, this is insane.
Well, you
what
have to
we're
be
witnessing
invested
right now.
because what time did this race probably start?
6
a.m.
6 a.m., right? I wake up at 4:30 to watch European soccer almost every weekend, and you got to make time. It's
You
not
got to be
like it's-
dedicated.
Yeah, it's not like you just turn on the TV and it's on.
Yeah.
Dude, if Max ends up blanking out the rest of the weekend, the rest of the season, he ends up winning every race from here on out. And every weekend it looks more and more likely.
Yeah, Red Bull perfect season. Like that's a huge
When
deal,
can he
yeah.
clinch the constructors? Because they're already like 329 points, and the next team down is like 150.
I don't know the math about it, but I thought for a second that he might be able to actually do it this weekend. I guess not. But if Max wins everything from here on out, dude, he's gonna be looking at, was it Abu Dhabi or what was the second race of the season? So it went
Just not
Bahrain.
even race.
No, but he's gonna be looking at like
Just
at,
sit out.
at that one and then Baku and just being like, fuck, dude.
Saudi Arabia was the second.
Saudi.
Yeah.
He's gonna be looking at Saudi and Bahrain, or no, Saudi and Baku, and going, dude, had things just gone a little bit differently, I could have gone 24-0.
It's never happened, right?
No, it's never happened. That's fucking.
Never even had that many races.
I think that would be. Yeah, this is the most races
Then
ever
you're the GOAT.
in F1 season. That would be GOAT.
Yeah.
That would be. I think that would be a bigger accomplishment than 7 world championships. I mean, there's probably an argument to be had there, but like, man, dude, that's an otherworldly type thing. 24-0.
I think 7 championships is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, because that's to be able to be consistent all those
Consistency,
years.
yeah.
You have to do
going
that.
on his 3rd.
Yeah,
But that's a different margin for accomplishment.
And
Like,
he's also got 20 years to do it.
yeah. But regardless, like if this happens, that let's say Max wins the next 12 from here on out, he's gonna look back at those 2 races and it's just gonna.
I don't think he'll win every race.
He's gonna try though.
He's gonna try.
That's the thing is like he's the type of guy that's not gonna be just settling for 2nd or 3rd. Where
No.
If he can try, he's gonna like risk.
I think
ruining
he's
his
gonna
race
have
to get a win, right?
Malfunction at some point.
I've been saying that for 3-4 races.
It
now.
hasn't happened yet this season. Your good luck's gonna run out.
Yeah, well,
Punctured tire.
here's the thing too, like
engine failure.
with
something.
those types of things,
Crash.
like he has the ability to be able to like say change an engine early, even though he's going to take a penalty, as opposed to some.
Yeah, it
teams,
doesn't matter if he starts 20th.
Some teams may push it a little bit, right? Because they don't want to have to take those penalties earlier. They might try to like make an engine or a gearbox last a little bit longer, or like I think Max has the advantage of being
unless he gets like a 2-minute penalty. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, exactly. So
even a 2-minute penalty, dude, he could Max on a charge. Who knows?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
So should I go through these?
I gotta take a piss real quick, boys.
All right, well, we're almost done. If you want to just wait like 5 minutes.
I'll try. I piss my pants.
So,
on the podcast.
Please be an honor.
Please do.
So far our list, we got Australia as being the best, Austria coming in number 2, Miami 3, Jeddah 4, Great Britain 5, Canada 6, Hungary 7. This weekend, Belgium Spa 8th, and then we got Bahrain, Azerbaijan, Spain, Italy, which was canceled, and then all the way back in 13th now is Monaco,
which was boring. Now let's wrap up the fantasy.
Oh yeah. So you're still ahead.
Well, here's the thing: you had passed me because of the sprint.
Yeah, so I had gained, I think, 40 or 50 points almost on you.
I fucked up bad. I was working here in the studio.
I'm sorry.
All right, fine. We're gonna keep it rolling.
Just go through the fantasy.
Jesus Christ.
So we want to look at this weekend, Belgium. I don't understand. Okay, where are you?
What do you mean, where am I?
Incident 274?
Yeah.
274, tied for first with Strolling with my homies. I'm tied with Susie Wolf stand account with 263. So you got 11 more points than me in the race. I don't understand how you're still so far ahead overall.
You had gone up on me after the sprint by like 30 or something points. I had lost out because I fucked up. I forgot to change my shit. Luckily, it made out in my favor because I was going to do Max, Oscar, Lando, Carlos, and Nico with Red Bull and McLaren as my constructors, but I ended up forgetting and still had Max, Checo, and the 2 Aston Martins, and Nico with Red Bull and Aston Martin as my constructors.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Let's see, where did I lose out this weekend? How do I show this weekend's points? Whatever. Yeah, rough go for me. I was looking to get at least a little bit of a advantage on you because you messed up.
Dude, I was shaking.
But I think you ended up working out because of Piastri's DNF and
Piastri's DNF, and then the points against McLaren too.
Yeah. So overall team rankings, we still got Incident in first place. My team, purpose powertrains.
And I still have my 3X chip to play.
Yeah, not good. Susie Wolf standing count in third, Stroll and Mahomes in fourth, J Money, our boy, in fifth. Back there, he's about
How far am I back?
500 points back.
You moved up one this week, though.
You did move up. Moved up over Church of Checos. Who is? I don't know who that is.
Angelita.
Oh, okay. And then we got Let's Go Full Throttle.
Former champion.
And then,
reigning champion, Cole Dickey.
In last place, or second to last place.
Yeah.
Cole won last year?
Yeah.
KJ in last place there. So.
What's KJ's name?
You can't say
We
it.
can't say it. Can't say it on air. We'll get demonetized for the money we don't make.
We'll get shadow banned on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Dude, we should make a open, like, next year, like, share the link to the fantasy
So
team
everybody
and
can
have,
join
like, 100 fucking teams for our 100 listeners.
Have everybody just sign up on like a Venmo or something. Venmo their $10.
Yeah.
Take it all. No, we tell them they're gonna get their money back, but we actually just take it all.
Yeah, it's just a big scam.
Yeah.
Have them subscribe to the Patreon.
Let's do it.
What else do we have in store? I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sock hockey.
Any final thoughts? We'll do a little.
Not
Because
much.
we're gonna have a break, so
Yeah, we're gonna be gone. Well, racing's gonna be gone for the next 30 days, but we're gonna be back with updates. We're also gonna have some fun shit in the meantime.
yeah.
There's a writer's strike happening here in Hollywood, so we're gonna come at you with
Stand with SAG.
Yes.
sure. We're gonna have some fun shit involving that mixed
Stay
with
tuned.
F1. Yeah, stay tuned for that. We're gonna get all of our friends, the entire ITC Fantasy League, involved with that, and then we'll be back for the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah. See you then.
Right on. This has been Into the Chicane, the post Belgian Grand Prix edition. We're out.
Hell yeah,
Peace.
thanks.
Peace.